All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Membership Updates Live. I'm George Snipes, Field Director with the Atlanta Area Council, and here is our guiding host, as always, is Bert Bender, our Atlanta Area Council new member coordinator. And I believe Bert is going to share with us some strategies about parent orientations tonight. So Bert, take it away.
All right, and since this is just a parent meeting and it's not really an official scout meeting with a lot of scouts around, I decided not to wear the khaki shirt. I did wear an actual official BSA shirt, by the way. So, I'm somewhat on board with the whole scouting program here. But when you're having a parent orientation and you are, getting to meet parents, sometimes it's good to, dress like how you are in real life so that parents can identify you in real life. Now, as we've been doing in this series of reviews of how to deal with recruiting in this day and age, we all remember, the fun times that we had, last year when you'd have a school sign-up night and a big group of people. And then maybe a week or so later, you would have a fun family event, a picnic, a bike rodeo, a fishing derby. It could be Cub Olympics. You would have kids running around, and at some point you would pull the parents aside and then tell them all the rest of the stuff about Cub Scouting that you didn't tell them at sign-up night, so that they could be up to speed with how your pack and den would operate. And that's, how it's still written, that, you could have parent orientation at fun family joining events. That's found here on our sign up events page. But as we know, we're not meeting it in person, not all of us, only some of us. And when we do meet in person, it's not as simple as just sending all the kids over there to be led by a couple of den chiefs while they are grabbing onto each other, because that's not safe physical distancing in these times of COVID. So we've got to find other ways to focus attention on parent orientation, and that's the purpose of tonight. To help get us there, one of the things that I did was I put together a resource page, which is located currently in the Southern Crescent District website. And I'll pull up a link to the page. It's found here, Southern Crescent District. So it's southfultonscouting.com/node/4457, or search Southern Crescent District, and you'll find it under recruiting ideas. Because basically when you get a bunch of families signed up, or frankly, when you're trying to orient your old families who may want to know, how are we going to do Cub Scouts now? You want to have your plan in place and have something so that you can give them the information that you want them to have, and they can receive the information that they need to have. By the way, that may not be the same thing, because there's a lot of information that you could, dump on Cub Scout families, and you probably can't do it all in a live meeting, even if their kids can play games for an hour and a half. So concept here is get your pack program together, figure out what you're going to do in a live meeting, but also back it up with things where they don't have to be there and don't have to be listening, where they can break away if they need to take a call to attend to somebody who's yelling in the house. In my case, it's most likely going to be the barking of an aging dog out in the kitchen. So apologies in advance if that happens, but you want to be sure that you're going to be able to give parents key information, including some handouts. And the suggestion we have is, you got to have these things. Contact information so that they know who to reach. Key events, what do you have scheduled so that they know when, who goes where to do what. Share your pack information centers, like what your website is, any Facebook or social media site. And if you have key rules about how parents need to be involved, let those families know up front. Like if you have a parent helps policy, or if because you're starting remote, you have to make it clear to them that Cub Scouting is not a drop-off program in this day and age. It's going to involve parents really being active, at least with their kids. Worthwhile also to share with them before, during, and after the fact that they have access to, and hopefully many will have received a hard copy of, a Cub Scout orientation guide that's found in the Join Cub Scouting section of the Atlanta Area Council website. It's in the downloads here. It's a hefty document. It may take a while here to download. Oh, it didn't. How awesome is that? And when you see it, you're going to find that it's actually been updated to reflect where we are in this day and age, because a highlight is scouting safely, and this head-on addresses how the Atlanta Area Council is approaching dealing with COVID-19 concerns. I should pause here and say, because this is a webinar and not an actual Zoom meeting where we can see everybody in the gallery view, there's a Q&A and there's a chat, and George will monitor that, and he will jump in if there's a question that needs to be answered right away. He'll also jump in at the end, and anything that hasn't been addressed, we'll be sure that it gets asked. So if you have a question, put it in the Q&A, put it in the chat, and we will get to it. Other information that you might want to have available to share with your pack, with their new and old parents, includes anything else that isn't part of a generic Cub Scout program. The Council Parent Orientation Guide and all of the national stuff about whether it's meetings or uniforms or dues or whatever, that's good for what it is, but as we all know, all scouting is local, and how you do things like dues, details about your fundraising, that's going to be different from pack to pack to pack to pack. So you've got to be ready to do two things. Number one, be able to tell people what your deal is, but also ideally have it written down so that people can look it up somewhere, so that you don't have to, if you have 20, 40, 60, 80 kids in your pack, have to tell 20, 40, 60, 80 sets of parents time after time all of these issues, because every pack will have different rules and things that they do need to follow that are going to be critical for them. Uniform expectations is one. If a concern of ours, and it is that scouting costs a lot more money this year because of the increase in fees. Guess what? Another big ticket item is uniform costs. So if your pack has a uniform expectation that it's okay just to wear the blue shirt and the belt so that you can put your loops on it, let people know so that they don't see that buying a uniform is a barrier. You might also want to highlight to them, what else they need to buy or not buy. For example, you may have your own pack number patch, or you may have a set of council emblems that you'll hand out. You may already have handbooks so that they don't need to go to the scout shop and get those, but you can deliver those to them at the next meeting or at the school or on a drive-by to their house. Details on den meetings, how you're going to do it. If you can do it in person, everybody's going to need a lot of information about that, including last year's parents. If they were used to being able to drop off Johnny and Janie at the den meetings and then hang in the back just watching on their phone, that may not be the deal this year. They may have to really keep a closer rein on their kid in order to allow den meetings to be done safely, so that a den lead or an assistant can lead program and parents can help keep their kids safely physically distant. Same thing for new and old parents on family-led adventures. You know, you want to be sure that they know where they can get resources to do those if they are not in attendance at an in-person meeting or if you're operating completely remotely. The resources are there in Atlanta, but it's really up to PAC and den leaders to be sure that parents will get those resources so that they can have what they need to do things like earn the Bobcat rank and do all the other adventures that we want to see kids completing during the course of a year. Also, another topic that may be important to cover is if your PAC has girls, including if you're recruiting girls for the first time because you don't know who's going to come to the sign-up night. It's important to be able to describe how you are operating. And just so everyone's clear, you can operate all the way from girls completely separate from boys and they never participate in the same den activities, or dens of girls and dens of boys doing all of their activities together, always with a female leader among the two deep leadership, but doing all their activities together, because if that's what your families want to do and that's okay with the charter organization, go for it. You may want to have information about how they'll handle adventure sign-off and other advancement and awards so that they know what you're looking forward to. Again, these are things that could be in a PAC handbook, PAC orientation, something like that. But there's so many topics that frankly, if you were to pull out my wheel decide and decide to spin the wheel and say, okay, next topic, we're going to talk all about our website. And then you spend 5 minutes on that, and then you move to, let's talk about Scout Book, and then you spend 35 minutes on that. George is looking like, it may take longer. Do you have to talk about medical forms? Maybe not. So think about that as you consider what you're doing in a live event, because there's a lot of stuff that you might have to let people know about, and you might not want to cover it all. So some ideas we have. Keep it simple and make it fun, but don't use the acronym because they won't know Kismet. I have written here that if we use acronyms or we use scouting terms that are known to us, like a JTE or Wood Badge, while those are important and all, sorry, young dog came in the house. That means that we are applying keep it complicated, make everything hard, or the acronym that's pronounced kick me. So let's not do that. Ideas about how to make it simple and fun. Wherever you're doing a live in-person event, make it as welcoming as possible. We're on a webinar. That is a sadness to me. Why? I can't click gallery view and see all of you. If you're doing a Zoom or parent orientation session, be sure that you are welcoming and call out the people who are new. Get to know them. Have time for sharing. Obviously, the bigger the group, the harder that is. But if you have a small group, make everybody feel welcome. If you're gathering in person, be sure that, all the khaki shirt people don't just talk to other khaki shirt people, but that they are talking to the new families, because that's more important. The khaki shirt people will all be in the parking lot after the orientation session. You know it. They'll be there. Make everyone the same. I wrote here, dress like a parent, because that way they will hopefully see that you are like them, except you just volunteered, but that creates one less barrier where they can say, oh, I can see myself doing this. Make it as cozy as possible. And that may mean that you actually have some den level orientations where you can focus only on what's critical at that den level. For example, if you were to have a PAC orientation, There are some things that you probably don't need to tell first graders, like they don't need to know all about how fifth graders are in the departure lounge and will soon hopefully be crossing over to a troop and doing a lot of joint activities, because first grade parents have first grade kids. They can't imagine what their surly fifth graders are going to be like. And we want to hold off on telling them about that until they get a little further down the road. Next item I have here is called chop, clip, cut. And that is, looking back at the wheel, decide what you really need to cover in an orientation session. And in thinking about it, I thought of one of my favorite news sites, The Onion. The Onion will put out clips that are always 5 things you need to know about, pick a topic, say K-pop. Okay, I don't know anything about K-pop. I know it's a type of music, and all I can handle is 5 things. So tell me the 5 most important things. If they said, here's 45 important things about K-pop, I am not clicking on that. So maybe focus on what your 5 things are. It could be that for your pack, it's going to be handing out the contact, calendar, communications handouts, dues and how you pay, what we'll do when we're scouting with no meeting places. It might be meet your den leaders. It might be things you need to buy and things you don't need to buy. But every pack is different, and maybe your pack won't be about dues and how you pay, but more about fundraisers and here's how we collect the money so that we can all do scouting. It may be not how we'll do scouting with no meeting places, but hey, we're lucky. We have a meeting place, but seriously, everybody pay attention. We need to talk about the socially distant, physically distant safety rules because we need all of you to work on these. And not every pack is lucky enough to have the big reveal of here's our 6 or 12 or 18 den leaders that have been registered and trained. But so meet your den leaders might turn into for, 4 out of the 6 den levels. Oh, by the way, we're going to need some den leaders and co-leaders, and let's have a chat about how we're going to get you to take on those roles. So those are some ideas to keep it simple and make it fun. To help get you there, we've actually got attached, among other things, a PAC parent orientation PowerPoint, and we've uploaded the PAC meeting agenda sample from BSA training, and I'll pull that up next, because if you take online training through the BSA, it will give you an actual parent meeting agenda where you can cover this, and it says, edit this to fit not necessarily the 5 things you need to know about Cub Scouting, but think about what's most important for new parents to know about how you operate. So it's going to give you an agenda. You can edit this however you want to do in order to cover what's super critical for right now. And P.S., guess what? You can go ahead and do another meeting in the future. I'll do a quick spin through the PowerPoint that we attached. And this is attached not only on that Southern Crescent page, but it's also attached on the sign up events page in the Atlanta Area Council resources. But it's going to give you some things that you can use or not use as you decide. It's got some information. We did put in here, a highlight about Cub Scouting has got to be safe because we really want that to be emphasized. You could put in an advertisement for following the Scout law. Describe here generally what your activities are. Specifically, you may know some of them. For a lot of them, you're going to be saying, we don't know. Hopefully things will be better soon and we'll have a hard activity calendar set, and you can share that with people. Let them know what you're trying to do, even if it's encouraging them to go to Spooky Read just for the day on Saturday and not camp overnight, if that's what people are going to be more comfortable with. And you can set up things maybe more as den events rather than full pack events, because smaller numbers will be safer to keep order. You can describe what being in a den is at each level, or skip this and let the den leaders cover it in a small group. So it's going to give you, the details on each rank adventure. As a warning, you want to be sure that you don't just have each den leader hand down what they did last year, because they may be handing down something that came from like when Weeblos all had to get 7 adventures, not 6 and 5. So I've seen that. It causes sadness. So be sure you have the most accurate information. And sell people on the fact that the handbooks have great stuff that they can do at home as an operating manual for growing children. If you have a concept that every parent has to help in some way as they can, be sure they know that, so that you set the expectation up front that even if they don't get a khaki shirt, they need to be a helper to help with the way the pack will be and dens will be operating. We plugged in here a slide about den leadership options. You may not need this, but if you in fact don't have enough den leaders at every level, it may be good for parents to know, oh wait, I don't want to be the den leader, but I would be a co-leader with another 2 or 3 people, because that often is a way to solve the problem. Not to say that millennial parents want to be on teams, but okay, millennial parents want to be on teams. George, is that right?
We do.
Okay. And we've got a concept here, especially if you're going to do family-led adventures, to just go full shared leadership, where everybody is a leader for their kid. That shouldn't be too hard. They're doing it the rest of the time anyway. We've got options here for den meeting schedules. One of the things that gets passed down over the years is you have to meet with your den every week. And the BSA has actually changed their tune on that. I saw their latest What is Cub Scouting video from National. And once again, they are straight up that most dens meet twice a month. We have a lot of great packs in Atlanta that meet once a month on the weekend and have great program and great retention. So less can be more. The key is make it fun. You can talk about what the uniform is, or what it is in your PAC's plan. A note this year, they say that 4th grade Weeblos should continue to wear the blue shirt. So that's cool. That means one less thing for those 4th grade parents to buy. But then again, if somebody has gone about the khaki shirt because I thought we had to get the khaki shirt and the blue shirt doesn't fit, that's fine. Do your best. Let them go. They'll be in the khaki shirt for a few more years. Important to cover costs. This PowerPoint, by the way, a reduced version of it could be used on a sign-up night. You would want to cut a lot of it out, but it is appropriate to be sure that parents who may be showing up to your Zoom event, didn't go to a sign-up event, know what things cost, especially since this number, the number for the BSA fees is a lot bigger than it was a year ago. So that's going to be important for parents to know, that, and you can share what that is. So promote whatever your next fun event is, and be sure that people know how to get a hold of you, so that if they have questions, they can reach out to you. And with that, speaking of questions, what questions do we have, George?
The only one we've gotten so far was about where we can find these videos posted afterwards, and I shared that they were on the YouTube channel for the Atlanta Area Council. But feel free to add anything into the Q&A, questions about parent orientation sessions or about fall recruiting in general. Bert and I are happy to stay on as long as we have questions, and you've shown them with live clicks, which is really helpful, where a lot of these resources are.
Then you can't have my shirt and it won't fit you anyway.
We do have one here. Will you hold, let's see, Bert, will you hold any in-person leader trainings or Zoom trainings?
Ooh, Ron. I I have no plans for in-person trainings this fall. It kills me. I mean, I know you saw the balloon stomp battle royale photo there, and you're thinking, oh yeah, I remember doing that, and I remember doing that too. But that's not in the cards for this fall. Might I do some Zoom trainings? Yes, but shorter. And frankly, the Zoom these are sort of like that. I especially recommend the den and pack leader roles in these new times, because I do think that the sharing of information about what a family-led program means is going to be critical for current leaders to wrap their arms around.
That's fair. Sylvia Crawford asked, she saw some shirts in the Scout Shop for new member coordinators. I guess I need to walk downstairs a little more often. She asked if those are in addition to the traditional uniform, and I can take that one. Class Bs is kind of the generic term that some people use for that, activity uniforms. Any scouting attire that's not a uniform shirt, and these are great for parent orientation sessions, for pack activities. I hadn't seen that one specifically, but I'm familiar with the logos. That's a great thing to wear, especially when showing families, as Bert said, that this is for them too. They don't need to be a wise, sage, khaki shirt wearer. That normal people can be scouters too.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I'm gonna share to a picture where you can sort of see somebody wearing the red version of that. And the idea is, it's a polo shirt. It has a little scouting logo, so it kind of looks official, and it is. So that can be your welcoming person at an event, and go for it.
Well, I think that clears out the Q&A for tonight. I was going to share briefly that we will not be gathering for the Labor Day holiday. However, we are all very excited about the Scouting on Demand Labor Day Cookout. I believe, I don't have my notes in front of me, Bert, make sure I get this right. It's a Facebook Live event from 1 to 3 on Monday the 7th.
I know it's 1 to 3, and whether it's Facebook Live or Zoom, I don't recall. But if you register on the link that should be on the council page, it will give you the link. And so you may not know where the computer is taking you, but the computer will know where it's taking you, because that's what they do. They do all of our thinking for us.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And so our next training will be Monday, September 8th. And I believe that's our Forging Functional Facebook Strategy, right, Bert?
I think that's what we are going to do. So I'm about 99% sure that that's the case. So we do have another question here. What training do parents need to take to help out in meetings, especially if a woman is needed for meetings? And the answer there is to help out in a meeting, as long as you have 2 registered leaders at a meeting, a parent can help out. Let's suppose it's you're doing a whittling adventure for bear claws, 3rd graders. Just because a mom who knows how to wield a knife in the kitchen isn't a registered leader doesn't mean that she can't help teach how to wield that knife in the kitchen or elsewhere. So you can, and same thing with, the stereotypical non-registered leader dad who is helping Baloo the Builder or any of the other building adventures where they're building Pinewood Derby cars or other things. Yeah, they can help as long as you have registered leaders there. Of course, encourage them to register, take youth protection training. That's cool. But they don't need to have special training to help the Scouts. You do have to coordinate with them so they know what to do. But if they are doing family-led adventures and seeing those resources, they'll at least have some knowledge about how to get that done. All right, what else? Anything else?
The last one was about yard signs. It was specific to picking up afterwards, but I sent the details on that. But we do still have some yard signs left. We've put almost 2,000 yard signs out in the community through PACs and our field staff. As we are challenged to get into classrooms this year, I think it's a really important method for us to get in front of people. So we've got a few more left on hand, I'd say a couple hundred, and then we'll have to contemplate ordering more, but these are good problems to have. So if you want some yard signs for your pack, the best way to do that is to arrange it with your district executive for an in-person drop-off or up here at the service center. But we'd love to get some in your hands.
All right.
Have a good night.
We'll see you. Bye now.